up there making new friends. I'm pretty sure you're loving every minute. If there's a golden pond full of fish, I bet you already caught everything in it.
Alright guys, we're here. We're going to try to teach y'all how to tie a jig, and hopefully after we get the jig tied, we're going to be able, in the next video, we're going to be actually using the jig that we tied and hopefully catch a fish with it. Sometimes that's harder than it may look like it would be, but we have had some success tying our own jigs, and the one benefit to it is normally your hair jigs are going to be a pretty small jig and a pretty small hook. So if you're targeting big crappie with live scope, you're going to want a little bit bigger hook. I would prefer a little bit bigger hook. I like a sickle hook. I know a lot of people are liking just a normal J hook. We've tied several different ones, different colors, different sizes, weights. That's a big 1/4 ounce jig. I'm not a fan of the heavier jig heads. I think a lot of your success in crappie fishing is going to be your fall, your rate of fall. If you can get a jig down to the fish and it's falling very slowly, I think you're going to have more success letting that jig stay in the strike zone longer, for sure, if you're casting to them. Even if you're jigging them to some degree, it's going to be a little easier letting that jig just kind of naturally float down to them. So I've never done this before. A few months ago, as far as tying my own, I was buying hair jigs, but I didn't like how many fish I was losing because the hook was so small. If I didn't have to use that very, very small, a lot of the hair jigs you buy are going to be that very small profile, and with that small profile you get the small hook. But I do like having a little bit bigger profile if you can get away with it. If the crappie are going to be aggressive and bite that bigger profile, you can make this any size you want to. So you can use a little bit bigger hook, a little bit bigger profile, and still have that lightweight, not ever having to change your jig skirts out and your plastics. So there are some benefits to tying your own. So hopefully I can show you how to do it your own. And before any of you professional jig tiers come tell me that I'm doing it wrong, I'm aware I have no idea what I'm doing as far as how it's supposed to be done, but I do have my way of doing it. They are catching fish, so hopefully that's all that matters. Well, we were about to clip these edges off. I'll go ahead and show you doing that. We're not going to be able to use this hook, but you can just, that lead is really soft, so you can just, this is just a regular steak knife, and then you see the little clips, there's one on each side that holds your plastics. So if you're not using a jig head that's made specifically for tying your jig, you're going to have these little bait holders on there, and if, like I say, they're just soft lead, so you can just kind of pop them right off there. See, after it's like that. But the reason we're not going to be able to use this jig is, I guess, just from the company, there's no point on it. The barb is there, but then it's never sharpened. It's like the end of it didn't get done. So we're going to go get another jig head and knock them burrs off, and then get back to tying this jig. Alright, so bought this little jig tie-in tool. It just holds your jig head. You just kind of screw it out and you stick your jig head down in there, tighten it up on there real tight. This is actually the new jig head with the actual sharp hook. All this stuff came off Amazon. Got just some sparkle. That stuff glows. This is kind of like a pom pom, almost, just a shiny, flat piece of material. This is synthetic hair. I do know that most people are using like real bucktail, squirrel tail, marabou. This is just fake, but it comes in all sorts of colors. We'll take a picture of a lot of the other colors and stuff that we have. This is just something you get in the craft section at Walmart. Just a little, I can't think of what those things are called right off the top of my head, but Y'all have all seen them, just made out of wire, and just kind of wrap around that jig head, and you'll see that in a little bit. I don't have any special jig tying thread. This is just braided fishing line. It's 20-pound braided. I use 4, 6, 8, whatever I have, but I know that I'm going to put this on top of it, so you're never going to see this thread on this particular lure. I use normal super glue also. So again, there's nothing special here. I've looked at all the jig tying section when I go to the sporting goods stores, and I know that there's a lot out there that's available. If I see I have a need for it, I will buy it, but I don't see a need for it yet because we are catching fish with these jigs. So, all right, I'm gonna get to tying it. All right, so typically I just take most of your crappie jigs are 1.5 to 2.5 inches. You already have the exception to some are a little smaller, some are a little bigger than that. I'm just gonna approximately cut off 1.5, 2 inches of this. I'm not measuring that. Your jigs don't all have to be identical. I typically would just clip that little section. I'll lay that down. I'll grab me a couple strands of the sparkle, make me a few cuts, get it down to the size that I want to use. I do like to leave those a little bit longer than the hair, let them hang out the back, hopefully catch a little attention with them dancing out the back of that hair jig. Same thing with this. I don't put as much of those on there, but I have no doubt you could do it any way you wanted to. It's kind of satisfying tying your own jig and then catching a fish with it. So once you got all your pieces of your jig together, so you got your jig head already in here, and you can use, they sell at Harbor Freight, they sell a little clamp jig. I got one over there and I use it sometimes. I think they're like $25, so it's not just super expensive, and you can use it for other stuff too, because it's definitely not made for jigs. Once you got all that together, I will just kind of dab a little super glue there on the back side of that jig head, just right on the back side. I already got my 20-pound braid already cut. I will just start wrapping it. I'm not even gonna tie it. I'm gonna make 10, 15 wraps, I don't know. And then that super glue will lock that down. So that should be locked down pretty tight. Probably gonna get just a little bit of super glue on your hand, but you'll take your whole mass of hair. Once you get it started, it becomes a lot easier. This first couple loops are a little more difficult. They sell a tool that makes this way easier. I do not have that tool. But you can make them pretty fast. This is taking longer because I'm trying to show y'all how to do it. Just wrap that, get all that hair down on there. All this extra, I don't know if y'all will be able to see that in that video or not, but like this extra stuff sticking out, there'll be some stuff over the head. You can clip some of that down later, or a lot of it's going to be hid by your crafting thing. I wish I knew the name of that. A few more wraps. I do typically put another spot of super glue on the top before I tie like a little final knot in there. I know some of you are going to look at that and go, this idiot has no idea what he's doing. And you are correct. I do not. Hopefully, I'll be able to show you that you don't have to know what you're doing to catch plenty of fish on your own hand-tied jig. Alright, so clearly not a finished product. Got all that stuff hanging out, but I'm going to trim that down to make it look the way I want it to look. So I'm going to dab just a little bit more super glue on the back of that, which is hopefully gonna just hold this piece down, because I'm not gonna tie that down at all. So I'm gonna start that on the back side. And all I'm gonna do is just wrap it till I get to the back of the hair, because I'm not trying to hide the hair with the wrap. Just regular scissors. It's a really small piece of wire, and you'll just be able to clip that off. I clip it off on that side just because I want it underneath the hook. I don't want that fish coming up and maybe feeling something that he don't like, so I just wrap that underneath the bottom side of that. Show you all. So that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to cut my hair of the jig down a little bit shorter than what it is, which allows that sparkly stuff to overhang. I just don't like that exactly, so I'm going to cut a little bit more of the sparkle stuff down. That's kind of the finished product. That took way longer than it would have took if I was just simply tying it, but you can see it wouldn't take too long to tie your jig up. And we'll show you a couple close-ups of some of these other ones I've made the same way, and a few of them I made with a few different things. Odd story. I actually made this one my daughter, Adriana, and y'all will definitely meet her in one of these videos. She asked me to trim her hair one night, so I thought, oh, make me a jig out of that hair. So I did, and I've actually caught some really nice crappie with a jig made out of my daughter's hair. That sounds a little weird, but it's true. Alright, so in our last video, we told y'all that we... Alright guys, the last video, we was telling you that we would have hats, shirts, merchandise. So we got them made. Daniel Thomas, Fulton, Kentucky, HD Graphics put them together for us. He can set you up with any of your t-shirt, graphic signs. He helped us design this logo. This logo, I told you about my friend TJ Long, who passed away in that boating accident on Kentucky Lake. And that's what got this started. All the proceeds for this will go to GB and Gabby Long. Tell you a little bit about this graphic here. On the crappie itself, we took part of the scales out and just says in love and memory of TJ Long. The lure that's in the fish's mouth is actually a lure that TJ hand tied. Daniel was able to take that lure, put it in the fish's mouth. Really neat watching him work. I would love to have a video of him actually putting all that together. I don't know if he'd have wanted to give away his trade secrets there or not, but it was really neat watching him design all of it. He was having a really good time doing it also. So he threw us together a couple shirts. We got a white, a gray, and a black, and then got the hat. He let Adriana, my daughter, Adriana Mulkey, you'll see her fishing with the son. He let her pick out a shirt today, and he put it together. He told her, he said, I can have it made for you in 6 seconds, and he pretty well did. He had it made really fast. But he does a really good job. So if y'all want anything, sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, any merchandise, just let us know what you're looking for. We will have something up and going with the store that will show you the prices, but for now we don't. So if you're interested in something, shoot us a message. We'll shoot you a price. We'll get it made for you and get it either shipped out or delivered to you. So just let us know what you need.